Hello, welcome everyone to our Freshman College Success webinar. It is exactly 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Um, and so I will give everybody a second to join. For all of you who are prompt and all of you who are joining right now, we just have a quick welcome poll. I would love for you to just let me know who you are, so that I can calibrate um, our the presentation tonight to who's here. So I'm really excited to have you all here, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you for the next little bit tonight. So, as I said, I'll just give it another minute here. As we're waiting for other participants to join, I will just quickly mention that tonight you might be joining us from across Guidewell brands. You might not know what Guidewell is. So I will go over that quickly. You might be coming to us from ESM, which is my home brand within Guidewell, or Apple Ruth, Summit, College Match Point, MAP, any of our brands. If you're coming here, you're in the right place. And while some of our slides might be branded for ESM, we are working on college success services and education for all of our brands. And so I'm really happy to have you all here. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know. But I did want to let you know that if you are coming from any of our Guidewell education brands, you are in the right place. So today we're going to talk about college success and how to make the most of your college experience. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the transition to college. So I'm expecting a lot of students, parents, and educators who work with high school students, rising college students, and college students in general. And I'm really excited to have you all here. So I'm going to get started. It seems like there's quite a few of us here. And I'll just mention one more time in case you came in after I brought it up. If you could just please fill out our welcome poll and let us know who's here, and then I will know exactly how to approach you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the transition to college. We will have a Q&A at the end, but if you want to drop your questions in the chat, you can do so. And then I can get to them at the end if I don't see them while I'm talking and going through the slides. So again, welcome everyone. I'm very excited to have you all here, and let's get started. So a little bit about me. My name is Carley Nuzzo. I am the founder of our college success programs here at Guidewell. So I also serve as the director of undergraduate mentorship, which includes all of our college success programs and graduate admissions. Originally, my background is in academia and research. As I was working at universities, I began really to see the impact of mentorship. And so that'll really kind of like go into what I talk about tonight. And started working with students directly, and it's been the greatest pivot that I've made in my career. So I also love helping students figure out what it is that makes them tick and where exactly they want those careers to lead as well. So, as I said, well, I guess I'll go back to myself. I've been leading graduate admissions within Guidewell for a couple of years now, and as I was supporting students in their graduate admissions processes, I was seeing that there was a little bit of a gap. So all of our brands, for the most part, support students throughout high school, some a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, but really our focus is in supporting students throughout high school on their journey to college. But what we're seeing is really like we support them, we scaffold them, we get them to a so-called finish line of admission to that dream college or that perfect fit college. And then we wouldn't see them until they were coming back for graduate admissions. And so a lot of what I was seeing is a gap right in there of students not using the resources at their universities, not really like making the most of their time, not prioritizing the right things. And so that really brought me to this idea where at the same time I'm hearing about this national debate that is really talking about whether or not or what is the value of a college education. And to me, I think that that really misses the core point. And if you're here, you do value your college education, but I think it's something to really think about is that admission is not the finish line. And when we think of admission as the finish line, we're really missing the point because there are so many different outcomes that, and such a wide trajectory of outcomes that a student can have from going to the exact same university. And so I really like to think of it more as a starting block, and it's really necessary to have a 4 year strategic plan, just like your student did starting freshman year or whenever they initially came to one of our brands. We set them on a path to succeed and to be fully to find the right fit, to be fully supported to make those goals. So this is really aligned with data that is coming out. You'll hear me talk about data a lot today, as I was saying. That's my background. So a Gallup Purdue Index came out showing that success is driven by intentionality of experience on campus, not just the name of the institution. So beyond the college that it is, beyond the incredible university that it is, if a student is not intentional about their experience, then they will not get as much out of it. And so that's really where this webinar starts. This is where Guidewell brands are investing a lot of time and energy into figuring out how we can help students make the most of their college experience. Because we invest so much time and so much care into getting them there, we want to make sure that they make the most out of it. Okay, so obviously, um, this national debate is really about what is the return on investment of a college experience. And so again, I'm going to reference this Gallup poll, found that there are really 6 key factors in student experiences that correlate with longer term success. And that includes like personal success as well. So it includes career success, but also personal happiness and contentment with their positions. And so the real the real key factors that we're finding is mentorship, which is something, again, that all of our Guidewell brands really emphasize for those high school students is mentorship. And most of you know that because you're here. And so you know the difference that a mentor makes. So that mentorship experience means just as much at the college level, having someone to guide you to your path, especially with these freshmen. They might not exactly know what that path looks like and how it maps onto college coursework, college resources, resume building, all of the different things that really students are thrown into and need to develop the independence and the skills to be able to tackle all of that in college in their first year of college. Long-term projects. So sustained academic rigor is something that I have on here, but also dedication to certain ideas, certain projects, certain industries. So seeing that long-term development. Internships, students need real world job experience. That starts, unfortunately, it's something that starts as soon as you begin your freshman year of college. So a lot of applications are due and positions are open at the end of that first semester. So building up that resume, making sure that you have something set for the following summer that is going to help you continue to build and have internships that really produce job offers after you graduate college. Involvement. So, active extracurricular participation really has a huge impact on student success. And this could be as far as community building, this could be mental health, this could be feeling like you found your place on campus. This could also be professionalization, having interview prep on campus, having being plugged in to different networking groups. And so, all of these things really end up being impactful on how students go about their college experience. Again, I've been referencing this, but the underemployment statistics, so what that means is students that graduate college and are either unemployed or are taking jobs that don't require that degree that they just finished is about 40%. So 40% of recent grads work in jobs that don't require a degree. And so the goal is to really build up that resume, build up that confidence, build up that skill set while they're in college. Okay. So the necessity of a strong plan in college. Essentially, students want to go in knowing how to balance this transition without dropping any key factors that are going to be important down the road. So, college provides a foundation for intellectual and professional development. I'm also going to add personal development. It's such a huge milestone to go out on your own, to navigate college. And so, students should really be building intellectual vitality while they're on college campuses. So what that means is more than just going into a class, doing the coursework, getting the grades. They should be thinking about how to apply that knowledge to real world problems that matter to them, that matter in their industry, and connecting that to future work. This requires an active learning shift. So more research that has come out is these high impact practices really make a key difference in a student's outcomes after college. So engaging in research, in internships, in associations on campus report significantly higher purpose at work later in life. So not only is it impactful for getting those jobs, but it's impactful for figuring out what exactly you want to do, what that looks like in the workforce. There's a whole slew of research out there about students really finding their place in the workforce. There's so many jobs that students don't automatically think about. And by engaging in these high impact practices, they're able to uncover where exactly they fit and meet the people and create the networks to get them on their way. Okay. So all of this to say, students need to be intentional, but unfortunately, at US institutions, there's a huge gap in advising. And unfortunately, this has only gotten worse with different budget cuts across universities. These are really these admin jobs, these counseling jobs have faced a lot of cuts over the last year. So the average ratio of advisees to advisor across US institutions is approximately 375 to 1. And that's on average. If your students are going to a smaller liberal arts school, that number is going to be smaller. If your students are going to large public institutions, that number could be larger. And there has been a significant decline. As I said, that ratio has worsened over time. And we've seen the impact on students, on graduation rates, on job placement after graduation. Because advisors really just don't have enough time. I've seen this with my students at UT Austin and Michigan and the UCs, is that it's incredibly difficult to get in to see advisors. And two, when they are able to get in, they really only have enough time for basic course registration and major mapping, graduation, time to graduation. And so they're really not able to create this proactive, holistic support for the student to help figure out what their career, their personal goals, how that all connects. That individualized support and mentorship is really just impossible at most US universities. So what's missing? And I've kind of referenced this already, but what's missing is high quality advising that can improve student outcomes and confidence. And so this holistic partnership is a primary driver for student persistence to graduation, their satisfaction and ability to connect on campus, to make those relationships, and career readiness for the career that really fits. So at Guidewell, we care a lot about fit. We usually talk about it with student fit to campus. We're also thinking about that now in terms of fit to career, fit to graduate school. And so by tailoring support to students' unique goals and needs, maybe a student has faced mental health challenges throughout high school, that transition might be a little bit scaffold differently than a student that knows that they want to go to law school and needs to really hone their resume from the get-go to make sure that they're competitive. And so in this way, by having high quality advising, institutions can move from transactional to a developmental model. And so there's a multidimensional impact of that advising. I talked about this already. This is my problem. I know these slides, so I've been taught I should go out of order. So higher graduation rates, higher retention, enhanced academic performance. When you are working closely with an advisor, they can step in and help you make sure that you're prepared for your first midterms. Make sure that depending on how midterms went, then you're prepared for finals. Make sure that you understand the rigor of your college coursework. Make sure that you select classes that balance that rigor, especially in that transition. And then, like I said, improved career readiness and alignment, and early intervention and belonging. Make sure that students find their people, find their passions on campus, and are able to plug in early, for not only for that community, but then also there are certain organizations and certain opportunities that are much harder to get if they're not on a specific timeline. So there are some organizations that students really need to prioritize that freshman year, and there's some that maybe they deprioritize to have that balance and can easily apply to later. If students also planning on maybe applying to a different major, applying to the business school when they're in social work or whatever it might look like, having a plan that really takes all of that into consideration causes a lot less stress, and it also makes sure that the student is still on track for career or for graduation timing. Okay, so that all sets the stage. My main advice for entering freshman is strategic planning. So to me, that starts the summer before your freshman year. So you want to start planning out those core requirements and for graduation, and some schools have it even for the freshman year or for freshman sophomore year, what that looks like completion wise. Also, then looking at student capacity and other commitments or responsibilities they might have, what will set them up for success in that transition, what that looks like, when would be the best timing to take maybe a class that's harder, maybe classes that are easier, and how to map that on. Strategic planning also then includes looking out. So looking at, okay, so I do want to study abroad, or I'm going to want to get a banking internship, or whatever that might look like, making sure that the student is on track from the get-go. Obviously, these things are flexible, but starting that in the summer, I have a lot of students that take community college classes over the summer to get rid of some of those core classes to lighten their load freshman year. And so it really looks different per student. A big thing for students entering college is utilizing resources. So your student, or you, if you're a student on this call, you've made it into this amazing university. And so many students really don't know how to identify and successfully utilize the incredible resources and opportunities that the university offers. So being able to do your research, look at the organizations, look at the support on your campus, making sure that you can navigate all of the different portals and all of the things to really successfully make the most out of your 4 years and have it go as smoothly as possible. Managing your time is also a huge part of the freshman transition. It's really important that students learn how to effectively and, again, intentionally manage their time and courses in college. I've gone over this a lot, but I really do think that this executive functioning, personal development aspect of the transition to college is huge. It varies based on the students and their needs. And so for some students, that's going to be a bigger component. For others, this building resume is going to be a bigger component. But ultimately, it is a factor for all students to have a successful transition to college. And then again, building your resume. So prioritizing those high impact activities that will not only be important for resume building, but also for professional and personal development, for community belonging, for setting you up on the track that is outlined in number one for that strategic planning. Okay, so here's the process for college success. So the vision is really that individualized advising how your talents and passions align toward a professional goal. So figuring out what that looks like. Then a plan. So researching what's required to achieve your personal goals long term and immediately after college to hopefully reduce the underemployment ratio, figuring out what that looks like and planning ahead. So creating that resume, setting yourself up for success, and then mapping your activities and coursework to these goals. And I'll get more into like what exactly that looks like in the next couple of slides, but that's incredibly important even from the beginning. Again, depending on the students, you want to have that balance. You want to ensure a smooth transition. And so that might mean focusing on adding in one of those freshman year. Maybe that means taking a summer class to reduce your course load in the fall. Again, it depends on your student, but beginning to think about mapping those co-curriculars and extracurriculars to your goals in addition to your curriculum to your goals. And then building on those experiences over time, figuring out how to make the most of your network on campus and beyond campus. These are all really huge personal and professionalization development. Something that is what you want to do in college. Okay, so general ed and electives. So we're talking about curriculum and how to map that onto your goals. So general ed, a lot of students end up just being like, I want to cross off these core classes. If that means taking astronomy, so be it. If that means, just checking the boxes, right? And this is where a lot of college advising on campuses is really just about checking those boxes toward graduation. But I really advocate for strategic credit filling. So most of the time, majors are only half the credits that students need to graduate. All of those other core classes, electives, everything else, even if you're not adding minors, even if you're not double majoring, you can really fill those spaces with intent. And so it's really important to look at courses and see how they align with those goals, with those career goals, with those personal interests, and fill your courses strategically based on those rather than just the easiest professor or I want to have Fridays off. It's really important that general eds do more than just check those boxes. And so there is this huge opportunity to gain skills. And so a student might really gain a lot from becoming proficient in R and statistical data. A student might really benefit from learning about the biosciences if they're interested in biotech eventually. And so really filling those courses strategically will significantly help students with their postgraduate goals. It'll also help them realize what niche they're interested in those postgraduate goals. I have so many students that I end up helping for either career support or for graduate, where we're pulling out the classes, the relevant classes. And in a lot of cases, if they've strategically chosen classes, those classes align with their goals, even if it's not just specifically major classes. In fact, that looks even better. It shows intentionality and that they've really done their homework and had this specific interest for a decent amount of time. And so now we're getting beyond curriculum and we're looking at the other aspects of the college experience. So obviously your experiences come down to resume line items. So this is your track record of meaningful experience that you can put as a line item on your resume. Obviously that's important. But then beyond those line items, there's so many other important skills and points to be building throughout your time in college. So your network, cultivating those personal relationships, learning about different positions, building up relationships, confidence for students to reach out across networks, the confidence to do well in interviews, the confidence to walk into a room and be able to make connections, these tangible skills, again, like our statistical data analysis or whatever that might look like, those skills are really important too, beyond just, oh, I took calculus or oh, I took statistics. What did you get out of those classes? Expertise and depth. So again, the coursework itself isn't a waste. You want to show that you have expertise and you have depth, but that it's also beyond a surface level understanding. So how exactly do the electives that you took within your major align with what you want to do? And then again, I really think that that personal development is super key for students to show that they've grown as an individual and a leader, and for them to actually, like, beyond showing it, to actually have grown as an individual and a leader in those 4 years of college. We want to be able to show quantifiable impact across all of these different data points and professionalization in preparedness to take those jobs right out of college and be ready to make an impact there. Okay. So there's going to be another poll that comes up here to ask you more questions about how exactly we can help you um, beyond this webinar. So if you could please fill this out, it'll really help us understand who is here. If you have any other questions, we won't contact you unless you say that you want to be contacted. But I'm happy to follow up with any of you. You can also reach out to me at my email here with cnuzzo at ESM Prep. If you're watching on the recording, you'll also have a neat little button that you can click to learn more about how your student can be set up for success in their freshman year of college and beyond. But if any of you have any questions right now, feel free to put them in the chat as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. If your questions are really individualized, again, feel free to reach out to me. I'm very passionate about supporting students in college. I'd be happy to chat anytime. But I really appreciate all of you being here, and congratulations. If you are a senior in high school, or you have a senior in high school, or you've supported a senior in high school and they're off to college, this is a really exciting time, and more to come. So I'll wait here for a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes to see if anyone else has any questions that they'd like to share. But if not, again, reach out to me, reach out to the link that you'll be sent, and I hope to speak with you and learn more about your student and how to set them up for success in college. So thank you all for being here, and I hope to talk to you soon.